Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have some very interesting news to go and cover because this is actually some kind of not so good news when it comes to Xbox. Now, Xbox this past few weeks has definitely been up and down, to be fully honest, and so far it's been a little bit more on the down these past few weeks than are actually up. Now, we have heard a little bit of good news, and I haven't been trying my best not to be too much anti-Xbox, but it's been really intriguing to kind of look at these numbers of what's going on, what they're doing with the future of buying more Xboxes and selling more Xboxes, and kind of their overall state of where they kind of lie, and if they really kind of need to have this Activision acquisition, Call of Duty, etc. And so far, a lot of these leaked numbers and kind of implied numbers through courts and other various shareholder meetings haven't really been so good. Now, Xbox has been mostly kind of known for being a mediocre company when it comes to actually giving out good, correct information. Now, a good example for this is PlayStation will go proudly boast that, yeah, we're at 28 million consoles sold, we've done great with God of War, etc. Well, Xbox will be very, very quiet, to the point where they almost don't make their Xbox sales public, and they don't necessarily have to because Microsoft is the company that's public in the stock market, rather than Xbox, which is technically a subsidiary to as well. Now, obviously, PlayStation and Nintendo like to push it because they're obviously making good money and doing pretty good. Xbox, though, does keep things more low-key, besides their Game Pass figures, which are around the 20 million, a little bit lower than that as of right this second, though. But now we've actually been seeing even more news coming out that it might be even worse than we thought for other various console things on Xbox. So before we fully dive in, make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on, leave a like, your thoughts down below, and of course, make sure you guys follow the Twitter, Twitch stream, Target, and Amazon links down below, and let's dive into this video. So, kind of a almost doomsday scenario. Microsoft has now been implying that it has sold less than only 9 million Xbox consoles in 2021. Microsoft might have confirmed the total sales for 2021, and they also amount then to around 16% of the total big three console sales for the entire year, or less than 9 million. Now, it's kind of intriguing to kind of go note on this too as well, because some of these numbers have been very, very interesting. So as this is coming out too, we kind of saw this these past few days, we're seeing a lot of these FTC numbers where they kind of have to go and mention and talk about what's going on with the company, what's the state of the company, is it actually one of the biggest companies out there? And with these information coming out, it actually goes to show that Xbox might be less big as we're expecting and may not be doing as well in the console market sales as we're all expecting. Now, this actually might be kind of good then for them, though, at the end of the day, because the weaker they seem in an overall market, and it kind of solidifies them as a solid third place compared to Nintendo and PlayStation, might be actually kind of good for Xbox. But the next thing to kind of go note is that it's kind of way lower than expected. So to make a point to the FTC, Microsoft now punctuates Xbox's small console market presence by revealing a very interesting sales data for pretty much the first time. They almost never reveal gaming hardware information, which is why this is intriguing. But when it comes to the court, it has to be hey, Xbox, you're going to become a monopoly if you get this. How are you not going to be? So they have to respond and be honest with their figures, because if they lie, then, well, they lead into a lot more bigger issues than anything else. So a bit ago, the Federal Trade Commission announced that it plans to block Microsoft's proposed $68.7 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Now, Microsoft has officially responded now to the FTC claims with a lengthy 37-page document that dissects the regulator's comments, and as well kind of responding to a lot of other things. So nestled in this document is a very curious pie chart, which console sales percentages. And then the data lists how many consoles the big three, so PlayStation, Nintendo, and Xbox, have sold throughout 2021. Now, obviously, these sales figures are kind of weird because we're about to go into 2023, but this is kind of them, they've never released this, which is why it's very intriguing to know. If this was all information, I wouldn't care, but this is kind of new. So since Sony and Nintendo published their respective hardware shipments, they were basically able to go and then kind of use those figures to get the percentage to basically extrapolate how many Xbox consoles were shipped and then in 2021. Now, these are very, very intriguing because, like I said, these are all public. So according to the figures made by the aforementioned companies, so basically just going through these numbers of what Nintendo did or Sony has done, Sony managed to go and then ship 14.7 million or 15 million combined PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 consoles throughout 2021. Then Nintendo shipped a whopping 23.67 million consoles from the Switch themselves, which you guys can kind of see how big this market share is, and this kind of adds a little bit more extra merit to Xbox, where, although they do have a PC Game Pass and Game Pass users, right now they are only at a 16% market share in terms of consoles. So the chart that Microsoft provided themselves, so this is their own information, although it's not one-to-one, probably a good rough guesstimate for it, it provided the notes that Nintendo made up 50% of total video game console sales throughout 2021, which means that the total sales for this entire year from all the three companies, as you're following along, was at 47.34 million. So then as you kind of go do the usual math for that one, which would be what would be 16% of 47.34 million. So as they could do the quick math for this by adding Nintendo console sales, so 23.67, and then Sony console sales of 14 to get 38.37. Then just go and subtract that total amount from the total number of consoles, which was the 47.34, which means that at that point, it means that the Microsoft consoles only sold 8.94 million consoles. Now, this is kind of actually a good chart to go and showcase because it doesn't mean that they're necessarily out as of yet. Don't forget PC Game Pass and PC users are big, but it's also why they probably want to go buy Activision because it also gets them into the big mobile market and making really good mobile market pushes, which I think is fantastic to go and see at the end of the day. The more information they get on that one, I would say, the better. So it's intriguing because Xbox is apparently, I don't want to say they're in trouble per se, but it goes to show on how small of a market share they really have. Now, at times, they have been keeping up with PlayStation and Nintendo, but most of the time, we're usually seeing like Xbox is a pretty solid third with a few thousand consoles, even on big hype holidays such as Christmas or Black Friday, and kind of slogging along. And it kind of just goes to show on more so the pie chart on how kind of weak they actually are in the market share. Now, does this fully mean they should get the Call of Duty acquisition? As of now, no, it doesn't fully mean it, but it's kind of better to put into perspective where this actually may make them more of equals and maybe have more people bet at getting Xboxes or Xbox Series S's rather than, let's say, anything else. And don't forget, too, some of these sales will be on the Xbox Series S, which we have gone and heard many times that they're not really making as much money on those consoles themselves. So that's a big thing to note is that, yeah, they're kind of using a loss leader, and even using a loss leader with both Game Pass and the Xbox Series X and S, they're also not really making money on the consoles. Now, obviously, you make other money, too, from buying controllers, accessories, games, Game Pass subscriptions, and all of that, or just even potentially selling data, let's just be honest, movie subscriptions or whatever. But yeah, it's kind of a weird thing to go and see. So basically it goes to go show that basically it was around a 9 million console submitted thing over here. And as I mentioned, Xbox usually has not ever gone live with what assets they have and how many they've sold. They don't have to. It's like I said, it's a subsidiary. Other people do if it's doing good, obviously, but like a good example is Twitch. As you guys know, I stream on Twitch. We don't get Twitch numbers or statistics because it's owned by Amazon. They may mention like, hey, like it maybe made a little bit of money or lost a little money, or like Amazon subsidiaries as a whole made $3 billion, whatever. But yeah, we don't get the specifics on it most of the time. So it's very intriguing too because Microsoft is also kind of in their own disclaimer too, and I kind of agree, sometimes does go and cheese the data a little bit. When it comes to like the timestamps or how it actually worked out, or maybe say 2022, because we heard a lot more better sales and them on the shelves more often. Maybe they actually sold closer to PlayStation in 2022, but they're just choosing not to do that, maybe because maybe the month's ending in like 4 days, who knows, or the year's ending in 4 days, whatever. So they also don't necessarily know about sell-ins or shipments or actual proper like buys, or if there's like been stock sitting, or if like that same time there was like 3 million consoles like on a boat somewhere. You never really necessarily know. But it's very kind of intriguing to go and see how Xbox, I don't want to say it might not be in trouble in the per se of as a console, but I think it might be in trouble in terms of this Activision deal. But as well, it might still just be maybe solidifying the fact that people just don't really want Xbox. It's kind of a double whammy. If they somehow don't get the Xbox deal because of Microsoft being so big, kind of goes to show that they might be in trouble kind of trying to maintain the Nintendo and Sony dominance, especially if a Switch Pro comes out, which they will at some point, or Super Switch. And then on top of that, too, same with the PlayStation 5 Slim or PS5 Pro. But as well, it also kind of means that if they do get the deal, they also then might have still monopoly issues. Like if it even somehow goes through, they might actually want to go and soft block it, etc., or have to go make sure they give out a lot of really good deals, as we've been seeing these past few weeks to both Sony, Nintendo, and Steam, which also would maybe hurt Microsoft too if it kind of maintains the status quo, but then also spends $70 billion. So right now, it kind of seems like Xbox is in a hard spot. They don't necessarily know if they need to focus hardcore on Game Pass. We have to kind of look at the 2020 sales to go and know because they never go public with it. And as well, if it somehow doesn't go and allow this Activision acquisition to happen, what is going to be their next steps? If they do have Starfield, but what's after Starfield and Forza? We don't necessarily fully know. So this will be a very intriguing spot to go and see on where the video game industry ends up in 2023, what's going to happen with this deal, and as well, Xbox might have to go and fine-tune up some more systems because it doesn't seem like their sales figures are going too hot so far. So give me your thoughts in comments down below. Do you guys think Xbox might be in trouble? Do you guys think the deal's even going to go through? Are you tired of hearing about the deal? Let me know. And as well, make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on as well for the brand new upcoming, I guess, PlayStation, Xbox giveaway, etc. We have the Twitter and Twitch room down below if you guys want to follow and hang on out, and the Target Amazon links too. And I appreciate you guys all so much for watching here in the first place.